most times in a game, you're not looking for 50, 60-foot passes. You're looking for 5 to 15-foot passes, 20-foot passes, because that's what wins games, and that's how you make plays.
Yeah.
So that, I would say, stick to that kind of stuff, and then then I was gonna say, recognize once you get decent at passing, recognize your teammates' positions, forehand, if they're on the forehand, if they have to two-touch a shot or make a play like that off the backhand. And then as you're passing, another thing to look at is not to overhandle the puck. So this is another big thing. You'll see that, especially higher up you go, you realize how detrimental it is when you get a puck in a shooting area or even passing area. It doesn't matter. If you get a pass, you see a play, you shouldn't have to go like stick handle 3 times to make the move. It should be forehand and head up and then make a play. So those are things from a coaching perspective that you can kind of look at. So short area passing, make them crisp, make them accurate. The technique of it, keeping the hands in front of you for the most part, and that's that.
Yeah. So I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
I don't know where you're going, but if maybe as a player now, so if somebody, little kid listening or dad's listening to help his kid with passing, whatever, even shooting. So what are like some ways to think about it if you're the player now? So like if you're same kind of stuff you're talking about, but like if I'm like, okay, I need to get better at my passing.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Like what are my 3 steps here to start to, in practice, in the game, whatever, make sure I'm on the tape and all that kind of stuff?
Okay, so first of all, at home, if you do anything at home, that's up to you.
Yeah.
So I will use my clock.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and I don't know if I'll do it justice here. So what happens is, like in last night, like the biggest thing that I find with players is that they don't. I don't want to say they don't listen. That's not the thing. Is they don't take the time to really, really understand. Then this makes all the difference. So if you look at the clock, that's totally here. Okay,
that's good.
If you look at, now, I got to bend over.
I need you in the mic.
What's that? Yeah, sorry. No, I'm a mess here. If your feet are pointing this way, okay, to 12 o'clock, this is the net or your target. Is that on the 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime you start moving the puck past the around the 9, that'll be your heels. Okay, so if I'm a left-hand shot, my stick's over here, right? My top hand will be around my hips. So so number one, when you do that, you're showing shot, you're showing pass.
So you're saying, just for people listening, so you have your feet towards the net.
Yes.
This is the net. If your stick is coming behind your hip, so if
the puck goes to 9, or if you're righty, if the puck goes to 3, or behind that, which most people do.
So so you're catching the puck kind of behind you a little bit, is what you're saying.
Or you're moving it behind you.
Okay. Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Now you're showing what you're doing.
Yep.
That's number 1. Number 2 is, now I'm going to put my clock down. Number 2 is, and this is passing or shooting. Number 2 is you are now in an unbalanced position. So you're not strong from here, right?
When the puck's behind you.
Yeah, even
or
at your
off
heel.
your hip. Yeah.
Off your hip. Right, your body's off a little bit. So now you don't have power and you don't have the proper balance.
Yep.
Now, do you have to work that once in a while? Yeah. But now there's the percentages of your passes or shot being powerful and accurate become very, very less.
Yeah,
less.
And that's because you're off balance and you're not going to generate
there's
any
no power here.
Yeah.
Right? And then and maybe more importantly, it takes time to get there rather than keeping it.
Right.
I'll show you in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telegraphing, like you're showing it, so you're telegraphing. So now you're readable. Right. So now if I'm defending on you, and I see that puck go there, now I take a stick lane. Like it happens quick, but it's you can see it.
You have no other option, so they know that they can pounce on you now.
Right. So what you want to learn how to do is, if this is your feet, is you want to keep your. This clock's going to be a freaking mess by the end.
Do you want my whiteboard?
No, that's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, I need a clock. So what you need is your stick to be in between 10 and 11. Because 10, for a lefty is going to be near the front of their foot. So now your positioning will be in the stick handling too. Now it's just one little movement. But see where my hands are. They're in front of me.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So someone thinks that they're shooting. So the biggest thing I see in shooting and passing, so when someone goes to make a pass, they over stick handle, meaning they bring it too far back. When in reality, when you stick handle on the backhand, you should actually leave it because you're moving forward, and then you'll skate into the 10,
right?
Rather than pulling it back into the 9 or maybe even 8. 9 or 8. So that is right. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, so that's something that if you can picture that for shooting and passing. Okay. So go ahead.
So I was just gonna summarize what you said just to make sure. So you're saying first tip number 1 for like good pass, good shot.
Yeah.
If you take the puck and a lot of coaches still teach this too, right? If you're gonna do a wrist shot, let's say, right, you gotta load it back so you can have that long sweep to get into your shot. Yeah. So you're saying you bring that puck back and it's off your back heel, so you have the puck on your forehand and it's outside your back heel behind you. Yeah. Now you're off balance and you're losing power. Yes. So instead of that, you want the puck to be right almost by your front foot so that both your hands stay in front of your body. Yeah. And now this is where you're going to be able to generate power and have like more accuracy, and you have that deception piece where you have another option. You don't necessarily have to pass one direction or shoot one way or whatever. Right. And then the reason that makes sense too is if you think about the further the puck gets away from your body, you're talking about being off balance. Now your center of gravity is far away from the puck. You bring it into your body. Now your center of gravity is right on top of the puck.
Exactly.
And that's how you're going to be generating the power. Right.
The power comes for that push through.
You want to be on top of
that downward pressure. So downward pressure. I'll do it for the camera.
Yeah.
Downward pressure. You have a hard time pushing into the ice there, but you have a lot easier time here. So now, this is getting off topic a little bit. If it is out, it doesn't mean you can't shoot.
Right.
You just have to make an adjustment. The adjustment is you have to pull in to get it back into that 10 on the clock. 10 on the clock with the hands in front of you. Or as you pull in, it's a weight shift with your legs, and then you're turning your hips. Right. So you're pulling and then you're turning your hips like on a classic wrist shot.
And then this goes to the point of which we'll talk. Maybe we'll
always
talk
has to come in here.
Yeah, you want to get that. You want to get that puck back inside, so you're on top of it when you're going to shoot. That's where you're going to get power from. So that goes to the being able to handle a pass that's bad. It's not, I got a bad pass, I can't do anything with it. It's like, no, you need to have the skill to be able to fix it. You get a pass in a bad spot, and it's not your fault.
That's right.
You want to still be able to adjust and make a good play from it, right?
Yes.
So those are the 2 pieces there. Okay, I think that all makes sense.
Yeah. So now so what you can do at home when you're practicing is just have that in your mind, or maybe put something on the wall, that clock. I just learned that little piece a couple weeks ago, like the analogy of using a clock.
Oh, really?
I really liked it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you find?
I don't know. I was some guy,
cool.
And I'm like, I really like that analogy. I'll give the guy credit. I don't like the guy, but I like that analogy. It was good.
Cool.
Keeps it simple, right? So if you could keep that analogy, and let's say you have a golf ball, which is really good, or if you have a passing device at home and you have something slippery where you can actually make good passes, get yourself set in an athletic position with your hands there, and just get used to having that puck. So just bang, bang,
from
bang,
right in front
bang.
of you. Boom,
yeah, just
boom.
over and over.
Yep.
And you get a good feel for that. So I do that with like the older guys too, right? We just get the feel for it, and I just go around, more pressure on your like left hand shot. Make sure your weight comes on your left foot. So it's always coming there. So they just get in the habits of that. And when the thing is that once you get used to the reason I do that is because you learn your sweet spot. Your sweet spot meaning this is where the puck has to come off for accuracy, for speed, and all that kind of stuff. So if you do that, if you do a lot of repetitions like that, then that's going to just transfer into shooting and passing into a game, because everything else will feel awkward. And that's one of my sayings that I have when it comes to skill development. If it feels weird, it's wrong, period. Right? It's just wrong. Yeah. There's something that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
So that's one that I would do.
Okay, so then just finish before we go to the next thing. So finishing up, is there anything else you have as the player, if they want to work on passing? So that's the setup, basically. You just walk through the setup where you want it. Now, if I'm like going into a drill or I'm in practice or in the game or whatever, like what are things that I should be thinking about when I'm actually in the flow of the drill or whatever to make sure that I'm on?
Yeah, well, it's those. I would go through that checklist, but I would say like most of your passes you should be facing, like if I'm passing, to my right winger up the ice, I should be, or a partner in D, you should have your toes so you can make that decision of where your puck is, right? Like the 10-12 thing, the 12-10. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Then what about? I meant more other things like moving into your pass or having your feet moving or like eyes stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
So when you know that you're going to be doing some passing okay. So to make a good pass.
Yeah. That's more what I was getting at. I don't know. I assumed you were going to get into that.
Passer?
Yeah.
Okay. So to be a good passer is like as you're working your pass, just understand like sometimes is the weight of the pass appropriate? Is it too hard, too soft?
Ooh,
is
good
it
question.
right? You know what I mean? Is there too much spin or is it too heavy? If it's too heavy, it's because you're pulling from back here. So you get the proper spin with the hands in front of you. Feet moving, like, of course, if you're on a power play, you get it
within reason.
Yeah, within reason. But most times, your feet have to be moving to keep you mobiles, or if your options are taken away, you can spin out or you can make a different decision. But one of the things that I would really, really start focusing on as any player is to start adding deception. Deception is not used very often by most players. So little things like in practice, especially, is learn how to go, like if you're coming up the ice, is deception with eyes and head, right? Always looking. So like, that's what I always say to people, keep your head up. Like a lot of people teach, keep your head up or your head up or your eyes up. But they don't teach them to keep them out, and they don't teach them to scan the ice. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people have that tunnel vision or they're whatever. So it doesn't you keep your head up for a couple of reasons so you don't get hammered. That's one. But number two is you want to scan all your options. So as you're coming up the ice, is you want to have looks like this with your eyes or your head even, because what it does is now if you're defending me, then you're saying, okay, what's there, like real quickly you think that. So you're creating deception. So that's one. So now you can you can actually give it a look here and then because you've already seen it like a split second ago. Number two is deception with your hands. Is learn and practice how before you make passes, just to get an elbow up or to open up the blade a little bit or to give it a quick snap.
Little jukes,
little jukes and stuff like that because it creates a little bit of deception. Those little movements create a lot of space.
Yeah.
So speaking of Pastajov on Charlie's team, if you notice with him, he's coming in all the time. It's a stick fake all the time, head fake, but it's always the stick more often than not. So he'll come in to go shoot, and they're done slowly and calmly, but it's enough to get a guy to bite. Yeah. So it creates a lot of room for yourself.
In the speed of the game, that's why it's so effective because everything's happening so fast that just your eyes looking somewhere else, the guy has to react to your vision, right? He has because as a defender, I'm watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're a good defender, you're not going to be watching the puck. You're watching the guy, right? So if he's looking around, then you don't know where the option is that he's looking at, right?
Yeah.
So again, going to summarize. So after that setup, so you're talking about puck on the inside foot, hands in front. Yeah. So you can create good power and you're not off balance, all that stuff. Then you want to be, for the most part, unless you're on a power play or whatever, have your feet moving into your passes.
Yes.
And then appropriately judging.
Well, just to go on that. Yeah. So when your feet are moving, like not only when you're making a pass and your feet are moving, what happens is you can escape. I already said that. But the other thing that happens is you're shortening the gap. So if your feet aren't moving.
Yeah, making it a shorter pass.
It's a longer pass, just by default.
Yeah.
But number two, if your feet aren't moving, you have to be stronger up here rather than
you can use the momentum.
Skating into it. And
the puck's already moving. A lot
easier,
right? Yeah. So that's good. So you got the setup, you got the feet moving.
Yeah.
Then you're getting into, you mentioned judging how much heat am I putting on this pass, right? So if the guy's 3 feet away from you, don't be sending him a rocket.
Well, that's what it was like last night I was out with that group and I'm like, guys, like, yes, we're supposed to have hard passes. Like, that's kind of.
Yeah.
When a guy's 4 feet away, it shouldn't be the hardest pass you could ever make because that's not appropriate.
Right.
Like, then you're not setting someone else for success. So in your mind, when you're passing, it's you don't pass to get rid of the puck. You don't pass because you have a problem. And you don't want to make it someone else's. You pass to have success. Because if you can make someone on your team have success, you've all succeeded, right?
Right.